The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100, and get $100 at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions apply. Roster brought to you by SGPN's Big Game Squares contest. $1,000 prize pool and completely free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares to enter today. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, January 31st, last day of January, here to break down the Tuesday schedule, 5-game schedule here in the association. Tonight, we'll recap what we also saw yesterday in the association, but joining me, help me to break down everything going on in the association. You guys know him as a voice of I'll say golf, but tennis gambling podcast, the WNBA gambling podcast, the NFL gambling podcast, of course, here on the NBA gambling podcast. The Scott studio, Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much. Good to be back. I know yesterday Terrell and I did pretty well. Ended up hitting the lock with the Warriors team total over. Unfortunately, my dog died on me. I had Thomas Bryant double-double, and he finished with 9 rebounds, which sucks. But either way, still nice to hit the lock. Golden State was not really that in doubt, but ended up having a nice fourth quarter just to make sure. Can't complain too much, though. I thought Embiid would not play for Philly because they were so late on the injury news regarding him. And there was some line movement, in favor of Orlando. Turns out it didn't matter because Orlando won anyway. So nice for Orlando. But overall, I thought Terrell and I did pretty well breaking down the games, and I hit the lock. So could be worse. Wish that Thomas Bryant didn't, screw me over there for the lock and dog. But either way, I'll take the lock and we'll move forward.
Yeah, I mean, when Troy Brown Jr. gets 17 rebounds out of nowhere, well, we could blame Troy Brown Jr. for that, for grabbing 17 last night. But also joining us, you guys know the voice. It's Delonte Smith. What's going on, my man? How you doing, bro?
Not bad, man. Pretty good. Just trying to end the month strong. Had a good day yesterday in the NBA. Except for, well, I guess in college, I had Iowa State. So if you watched that game or heard about it, yeah, you already know what happened.
I live bet Texas Tech at the start of overtime.
I turned it off. I thought it was over. They were up 24 with like 10 or 11 minutes to go. I thought it was
23 with 12 left, I think.
There we go. But, so but whatever. A good day in the NBA though. So I guess we're gonna end the month strong and try to give out some winners today.
Yeah, last day in the association. Last day of the month in January. For the association. February is always the fun month in the NBA when you have the trade deadline coming up, as well as All-Star Weekend. So, I mean, we're getting ever so closer to, crazy to say, almost the playoffs, but we still got a couple months till we get there. So hopefully we can continue grinding out some winners here and breaking down the games as usual. Last night, I was watching the Warriors and the Thunder game. That turned out to be a great second half. Oklahoma City made a run in that second half in the fourth quarter as well. Shea's shots were actually falling for him in that second half. I know he was just having bad luck getting shots down in that first half, but he finished the game up with 31 points for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They fell a bit short to the Golden State Warriors, 128-120 winners there. Big night for Steph Curry, 38 points. He finished shooting 12 of 20 from the floor, 8 of 14 from three-point land. Also chipped in with 12 assists. As a team, the Warriors last night, 37 assists on 46 made baskets. Draymond Green also had 9 rebounds and 12 assists. And then Scott touched on the Orlando Magic game there. There should be like a cutoff, and it's kind of frustrating that if you want to bet on some of these teams that 30 minutes before the game, they need to be ruled in or out. With a lot of these guys, right? And we saw Joel Embiid, I think, literally like the game time that he was going to be ruled in. And he had a pretty good night for the Philadelphia 76ers. He had 30 points, 11 rebounds. But they just fell short, kind of fell apart in that second half, where the Orlando Magic outscored the Sixers 67-47. I believe. And they get the 10-point victory there due to the Orlando Magic. Delonte, let's start with you. Any other takeaways from last night as far as NBA went?
Man, honestly, I thought that it was a pretty good card last night. Some pretty good games.
Yeah.
At the Minnesota Sacramento game went to overtime. That was a pretty good game. Who else? The Kings and not the Kings, the Hawks and Trailblazers played a pretty good game. The Trailblazers were in control of it for the most part, but Dejounte Murray came down and he was clutch in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They had a bad sequence by DeAndre Hunter, leaving Simons wide open and then fouling Dame when they didn't have to foul. That was pretty rough. But I thought it was some good games. Luka had 50. He had like 24 in the first quarter, chirping at the assistant coach for the Detroit Pistons. Overall, though, I thought it was a pretty good night. I watched, like you, a lot of that Oklahoma City Golden State game. And if you notice in the first half, they were playing like really, really aggressive defense. And that's what I would expect to see. Going into the latter part of the season when things are ramped up. So they had a little bit of a letdown in the second half. They thought they were, thought OKC was going to fold, but they didn't. But that was a fun game to watch. I thought it was a lot of fun games last night.
Yeah, that Portland game, Dejounte Murray scored 40 points, obviously without Trae Young, who got ruled out, I believe, with the ankle injury. And then Dame, another big night for him. 42 points last night on 10 of 21 shooting. Him and Simons combined to go 10 of 20 from three-point land, which they pretty much needed every single one of those three-pointers last night from those two guys. Scott, anything else from last night that stuck out to you?
Well, you mentioned the Warriors and Trailblazers game. I know that Terrell and I were a fan of laddering Curry points. Didn't get to 40, but he still got to 35 and beyond. I said straight up that I was leaning Atlanta, but only if Trae Young played. He didn't, and then I basically just agreed with Terrell. If you're going to take Portland, why not just parlay it with Lillard 40-plus points? Because I said that they're not going to win unless Lillard scores 40, and Lillard scored 42 points. So overall, the laddering worked pretty well for the two guys that I liked yesterday. Besides that, we got to talk about Luka, who had another 50-piece in his first game back from injury. Still kind of funny that he can drop 53 and they still can't cover a spread at home against Detroit. That's which is still kind of funny. But Luka at 53, Luka doing Luka things. And I don't really have much more to say about that. You look at the actual box score, and Luka did everything by himself again.
Yeah.
I think only one other player on his team had double digits. I think it was pretty rough, but yeah, that's really the only other thing I got to at least mention is Luka was fantastic last night, and they still couldn't cover again. So
yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked by. I saw Luka put up a 50-piece. Okay, big whoop-de-doo. It's almost like we're used to seeing Luka dropping 45 plus a night, or even getting 50. But at some point, they're gonna have to get him some help. I mean, it's just, and I think last night is a prime example of that. We know he can go out any given night when he steps onto a floor and drop 50 points for the Dallas Mavericks. But what's going to happen if he has an off night and there's nobody else to step up for him? I think that if you told a casual NBA fan that, hey, Luka dropped 53 last night and they didn't cover the spread, I think that kind of, for me, that's been kind of setting off alarms that they need to get this guy some help. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that about getting him help, or I don't know. I don't think this roster constructed right now is not going to win an NBA title.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't get him any help. So whenever he gets to the playoffs, I can bet my whole bankroll on them losing in the first round. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for.
Without Christian Wood right now as well. I know he's dealing with the injury.
Yeah, he helps them a lot as far as stretching the floor as well. I had them first quarter yesterday, -3. They were up 10-0 really quick, and then proceeded to give up, I think, like 17 of the next 19 points to Detroit, who they don't even want to win, and they're putting out like bottom tier lineups, but they play hard at least. But yeah, I mean, Dallas is just, what do you think they need? Like, I don't know if, like, playing with Luka, it sounds good, but like whenever you're a player, you don't want to just sit in the corner. You want to kind of be involved. I mean, that's kind of what their offense is revolved around. So I mean, I don't know, like, what would you say they need? I mean, I guess another like wing player, or
I think
a big.
I think they need a scorer. I mean, you can't rely on Luka. I know we've seen what Luka has been able to do in the playoffs every single year, but it just hasn't been enough, right? And he has dealt with injuries as well. And again, we know Luka's easy a top 5 player in this league. Some can argue a top 3, depending on how they kind of rank people, or the players. But at a point, you kind of see some of the teams that do win the championships is that they have depth, right? They have guys that can score from different levels of the floor. And right now, for this Mavs team, it's been over the past several seasons, in my eyes, that they've live and die by Luka or the 3-point shot. And it's worked for them in some series, in some series it hasn't worked for them. I know they got to the Western Conference Finals last year against the Warriors, but the Warriors were just a more talented and way better team than the Mavericks that were last season. I know they picked up Christian Wood in the offseason, but I still feel like they need another star alongside Luka if they want to be serious about winning a championship in Dallas. That's just kind of what I think. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I just don't know like who. I don't know who's out there that they could get. Maybe I would love to see them have like a wing, like a 2-way wing. I would love to see them get like Siakam or somebody like that. That would probably make them a little bit better defensively, also, and can take away some of those Reggie Bullock minutes when he's not hitting the shot. But he's a good defender, so that's why he's on the floor along with Dorian Finney-Smith. But I would like to see some more scoring from the wing department. I mean, Jalen Green is given, is it Jalen Green?
Josh Green.
Josh Green is giving them some good minutes, and he plays well in spurts. But I mean, he's not as consistent as you would like for somebody to contribute to a winning basketball team.
It's almost like they need like a Jalen Brunson type. I mean, just throwing that out there. Yeah, Scott, any thoughts on maybe adding another piece or a star next to Luka?
No, well, you mentioned Brunson, and of course, you're joking because they just got rid of him. But the idea of what Brunson brought to that team is pretty simple. He was a scorer who can also create his own shot. And that sounds pretty simplistic, but if you really want to break down what Dallas doesn't have, you have Luka, you have a little bit of Dinwiddie in there, who is a little bit too confident at times with the shots that he takes, but still, he can have some big games. You have Hardaway Jr., who doesn't really dribble that much, even though he probably could dribble a bit more, but they're extremely inconsistent. And then you have all the guys who only shoot. You have like Finney-Smith, you have Reggie Bullock, they can't dribble. The point is Brunson could at least attack in either pick and roll or isolation situations to give Luka some possessions off, or even just to help out with the bench unit, just something. And that's what they're lacking. They don't have another guy who can create seriously just high quality looks without needing his teammates to pretty much set them up entirely. And Dinwiddie can do that, but that's one guy. I feel like they need another guy who can, fill that void. And that's why Dallas was successful. It was the combination of Luka and Brunson and even a little bit of Dinwiddie, and each of them could attack off the dribble if they needed to, late in shot clock situations, or even if they wanted to put one or two of them on the bench, the other guy could at least do enough to hold his own until the other stars were ready to come back into the game. So for me, I think they need a scorer, but it's not just any scorer. They need a guy that can actually generate quality offense in isolation situations, and who can really just, first of all, dribble. That's a good start, if he can actually dribble the basketball. But second of all, if he can dribble himself into very good opportunities to score the basketball. It's pretty tough to think of who Dallas could even trade for a guy like that. Yeah. But if you wanted, for example, I'm not going to say that they're going to trade him, but just, for example, DeRozan. Throw some random guy out there who can actually just create and score in isolation. Now, would Chicago give him up for cheap? No. Is he a realistic trade option for Dallas? Probably not. But you get my point. Yeah. The point is somebody like that, who you can just go to at any point in a game and say, listen, I'm benching Luka for 5 minutes. I need 10 points. Just give me 10 points. Yeah. That's it. And then we'll bring Luka back in and we'll figure it out. Yeah. I think they need that type of guy. And right now, all they have is Dinwiddie for that role. And to be honest, it's not good enough.
They could go to Kemba Walker,
I think they tried that multiple times. That one didn't work out. Cam pointing out he's a resident Mavs fan. Hot take on the Mavs. He just really thinks that Luka's not a great leader. His teammates don't play well or as well as they could because of him. Yeah, I think I've seen flashes where leadership is a question for him, and just because Luka is just so ball dominant, right? It's difficult for his teammates to play off of that. It's like, get ready to shoot. Like if you're standing in a corner get ready to shoot the ball because I might find you and you'll be able to jack up the shot and hopefully you make it. But there's gonna have to be something that for this Mavericks team that's gonna have to change, or something that's gonna have to be added next to Luka, in my opinion. But
I feel like you watch the same offense, though. It reminds me of Harden in Houston. Now, Harden was a better passer than Luka, which is why Harden had some massive triple doubles and some crazy stat lines, and why he won MVP. But the argument that they're making in the chat box with Cameron and Insano, the main point is you have a lot of guys just standing there.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty.
You get bored. It's pretty difficult to play on a team when your offensive responsibility for 40 minutes is to basically be PJ Tucker. That's not fun. Yeah. You're standing in the corner and you're waiting for Luka to maybe give you the ball. But I'm sure if you broke down percentage-wise, like what percentage of the game or the offensive sets Luka has the ball in his hands, it's got to be north of what, like 70%? Like it's got to be painful to be his teammate if you're just going to stand there and do nothing the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, anything else from last night? Delonte, anything else?
Nah, man, I think pretty much hit everything.
All right, let's get into this 5-game schedule here tonight. Before we get into it, let me tell everyone about our presenting sponsor, and that is going to be WynnBET. WynnBET is the official online sports book of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WynnBET is active in a bunch of states, and there's tons of ways to win, including live betting and same-game parlays, also known as WynnBET's Build Your Own Bet. The big game is here, and WynnBET has you covered. Great promos, odds, and payouts are happening right now at WynnBET. If you're ready to play, sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet 100 and get 100. Limited state availability. And of course, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. Offers up to change. Terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 21 years or older and present in a state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And also, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is giving away $1,000 in their Big Game Squares contest. It's completely free to enter. All you need to do is follow the Sports Gambling Podcast on Spotify and give them a rating. Then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares to enter for your chance to win a free Big Game Square. Again, all you have to do is go to the Sports Gambling Podcast on Spotify, leave them a 5-star rating, and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares to enter for your chance to win a free Big Game Square. All right, guys, let's get into the schedule here for the January 31st games. Let's kick it off here with the Miami Heat in Cleveland here tonight. It's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start. Looking at the opening lines for this game, this line opened up in favor of the Cavs, -4. That number's now bet up to -4.5. Total opened up at 211.5. That number's been bet down to 211. Also see some 210.5s out there as well. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, pretty clean for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kevin Love is probable tonight. He's been dealing with lower back spasms. For the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler and Gabe Vincent are questionable here tonight. Duncan Robinson is going to be out for the Miami Heat. Delonte, why don't you kick us off with this game between the Miami Heat visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers, currently sitting as a 4.5-point home favorite?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much Cleveland's spot. Jimmy Butler has that thigh contusion. I know you mentioned he was questionable. I'm probably just leaning on him not playing. But even if he does, I still like Cleveland in the spot. Both teams are pretty similar as far as makeup and what they like to do offensively and defensively. They both start with good defense. They're both bottom 5 in points per game. They are top 5 in defensive rating, top 3 actually in defensive rating. They want to slow down the pace. Miami has been struggling as of late. They started off playing some decent basketball. Well, in the middle of the season, we're playing some decent basketball, but they've went back to their struggles, and that could be due to people being in and out of the lineup. 3-6-1 ATS the last 10. They are better on the road ATS than they are at home, which is pretty crazy to me. But that's
still bad.
Yeah, they're still bad, but I think they're only like 2 games under 500 ATS on the road versus their home ATS record is like horrible. Yeah. But Yeah, I think that Cleveland has a good spot here. They defend well. Without Jimmy Butler, it's going to be a lot of Tyler Hero pick and rolls and dribble handoffs. So I think that Cleveland can combat that. Donovan Mitchell came back from that groin injury. He didn't play as effective, but he was pretty efficient in his 20 minutes that he played. I think he shot the ball pretty well, 7 of 11, if I'm not mistaken. Both teams have been trending towards unders, which is what you would expect from two teams who dominantly play a lot of defense. So I'm leaning with the Cavs. I think they're a little bit healthier. Both teams, I mean, pretty much similar. I'm just banking on Jimmy Butler not playing. Even if he does, I still like the number. Maybe you get some value if he doesn't play. But give me the Cavs laying the 4.5.
Yeah, Cavs this season at home. They're 26 and 23 and 3 overall, but at home this season, they've just been taking care of business, especially against the spread 17, 8, and 1 at home for the Cleveland Cavaliers as the home team and as a home favorite, 16, 8, and 1 against the spread this season. And like Delonte mentioned there, Miami has just been atrocious against the spread with some amount of injuries that they've had all season with guys being in and out of the lineup. 19, 29, and 3 overall, 10, 13, and 1 against the spread on the road. They are 5 and 7 and 1 against the spread as road underdogs this season. These two teams did actually match up earlier this season in Cleveland, where Cleveland won that game by 26 points, 113-87. In that game, Miami did not have Jimmy Butler. Their starting lineup was Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Nikola Jovic, Kyle Lowry, and Bam Adebayo. So they didn't have Tyler Hero or Jimmy Butler in that game. They do have Tyler Hero tonight, but like I mentioned, Jimmy Butler is officially questionable here tonight for the Miami Heat. Scott, what do you got for this game as far as the spread?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one. I'll go with Cleveland first half and also Cleveland full game. I think Butler's not going to play, if I had to guess. Miami's benched him a lot based on injury and the fact that he's questionable this early and his already line movement on Cleveland suggests to me that Butler's got a decent chance of not playing. Mm-hmm. But even if he does, Miami is just not good on the road anyway. You mentioned how they're technically better ATS on the road than at home. They're still not good overall. They have a losing record on the road. Cleveland's still a very solid home team. Mitchell came back last game. He wasn't that great, but the point is at least he's back in the lineup. So you basically have a full-strength Cleveland team against a potentially seriously shorthanded Miami team. Cleveland is very good at home. Miami's bad on the road. This line seems short to me. And if Butler's out, you don't really have many options. All you got is Hero. I think that Lowry's cooked, but that's a separate story. Adebayo has really not done a great job rebounding lately, and we've seen this from Adebayo before. This year he's been more consistent. He's averaging 10 rebounds a game, but you're looking at Adebayo the last couple of games here, and he's had less than 7 rebounds in each of the last 2 games. He's had less than 10 rebounds in 3 of the last 4 games with playing 35-plus minutes. And now he's facing off against Mobley and Jared Allen. I think Cleveland might just kill them on the glass. If Adebayo seems disinterested on the boards, Cleveland's going to dominate, and I think on the glass, it's going to be a serious problem for Miami. I'll take the dominant home team at home, laying a pretty short number against a potentially shorthanded opponent on the road.
Yeah, both these defense are like Delonte mentioned, they're one of the better ones in the league. Paint defense, these two teams are top 3. Miami's number 1 as far as defending the paint, and Cleveland is number 3 as far as defending the paint, points allowed. The one, I think the area that Cleveland is better at right now is actually 3-point shooting as a team, where they shoot 36% on the season, which ranks number 11, and Miami is at 34%, which ranks number 27. But yeah, without Jimmy Butler here, I'm going with Cleveland here as well, minus 4.5. Delonte already touched on the total. I like the under in this game as well. I mean, it's low for a reason. Mm-hmm. Talked about how both these teams are great defensively and they don't play at a very high pace. In fact, Cleveland dead last as far as pace, and Miami number 28 on the season as far as pace goes. So expect maybe like a 1990s type of feel here in this game here tonight as far as the total. Scott, do you have any thoughts on the total?
I think I have to lean to the under just because of the fact that Miami without Butler, I'm not sold on the other offensive options that they potentially have. Cleveland, I think, could have a good game offensively, but with the pace and the fact that Cleveland, to be honest, might be up a decent amount. They might bench some guys late in this game if it gets one-sided. I'm going to lean under. I just think that you're going to see a lack of overall pace And it should be a bit physical based on how these teams play. So I think you'll probably see the referees maybe swallow their whistles a little bit. I mean, if Jimmy Butler's out, then that means that somebody's not going to the line 30 times in this game, which helps the under. So I'm going to lean to the under, and I'm just going to hope that Cleveland potentially holds them less than 100, because I think that it's definitely possible in this game.
Let's get into some player props here, if anything. Delonte, why don't you lead us off if you have any player props in this game?
Yeah, I like Darius Garland over 7.5 assists at plus money. I've been riding it for a while. He's had over 7.5 and 7 of the last 8 double digits in 5 of those. The Cavs are third in points per game off the pick and roll. They'll put the Heat in pick and rolls. I think Mobley and Bam will pretty much cancel each other out. They got similar games. Bam's better offensively, of course, and maybe slightly better defensively, but I think they both cancel each other out. And at the rim, the Heat struggle defending the rim. They are number, let's see, what are they? They're number 20. No, that's 29th in 3-point percentage. So off the pick and roll, kicking out to Donovan Mitchell, they struggle defending the rim. 23rd in rim percentage defense. So Mobley and Allen rolling to the rim could dominate. So I like Garland over 7.5 assists. And the Cavs defense, it's really good. They do struggle, however, defending the 3. They're allowing effective 3-point percentage of 55.3. So that leads me to Tyler Hero over 3s. That's 2.5 right now. You could pretty much buy it up to 3 and get plus money or even money, just about. But those are the 2 that I like the most. Garland over 7.5 assists at plus money, and Tyler Hero over 2.5 threes.
Scott, player props.
I'm going to look at Jared Allen in this one, which might be a little bit risky because we know that Adebayo is probably going to be guarding him, but they run so many pick and rolls that I'm not sure if Adebayo is going to stay with him for a decent amount of the offensive sets. But either way, 12.5 for Jared Allen is just way too low. To go through the last couple of games, he's had at least 13 points in each of the last 4. He's had at least 13 points in 8 of the last 10. I just think 12.5 is too low for a guy that should be on the court for 30-plus minutes, and for a guy who could get his own either in offensive sets with Garland pick and rolls or even offensive rebounds if Adebayo decides to take the night off rebounding again. I just think 12.5 is too low for a guy that plays that many minutes. I'm going to look at Jared Allen over 12.5. 12.5 seems really low.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going through the game log here for both Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Evan Mobley in 4 career games, including the last one, earlier this season, he's recorded a double-double in 3 out of those 4 games against the Miami Heat. Currently seeing his double-double price at plus 190. Curious to see what his rebounds are at as well. Evan Mobley, 8.5. So I'll probably play the double-double here tonight for Evan Mobley. Like you mentioned there, Scott, that if Bam, again, doesn't decide to rebound the basketball, I think there'll be opportunities for second chance points in this game for the Cleveland Cavaliers with both Evan Mobley and Jared Allen in there going up against Bam. And if Bam is matched up on Jared Allen, I think there's opportunities for Evan Mobley to score the basketball here tonight as well. So I like Evan Mobley in this game here tonight. He is at 13.5 at minus 140, but I expect both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley to be key contributors here tonight against this Miami Heat team. Anything else for this game, guys?
I also like the Hero 3s, but I'd probably wait to see for sure if Butler's going to be in or not.
Yeah.
But if he's not, then I have to definitely look at Hero. Hero might get there anyway, but we've seen how Miami operates whenever Butler's out of the lineup, and the usage rate goes through the roof for Hero. So I like that play 2 at 2.5, but I'd probably wait to confirm if Butler's going to play or not.
Yeah, with Jimmy Butler, the offensive rating for the Miami Heat 115.8. Without him, 108.5. So they're going to be reliant a lot on the Tyler Hero Bam pick and roll. And another thing, I thought Scott was going to bring it up, but a player prop, Lowry under 9.5 points. He screwed you last time. Yeah, he got me last game. But 8 of the last 12 he's went under, including 5 of the last 7. He's not being aggressive. He's not getting to the line. He had a good fourth quarter. Shot some free throws and hit a few threes, but with the Cavs defense and the guard play that they have, I think he'll spend more time defensively trying to, somewhat limit Mitchell and Garland than focusing on offense. So I think the ball would be more so in Tyler Hero's hands rather than his. So I'll look at under again. I mean, it failed me once, but the trends are what they are as far as him not being aggressive and scoring.
Did you see what Garland's 3-point props is tonight? His number.
Yeah, I can find that real quick.
Let me see. Screen just went blank.
Garland
Here.
is 2.5 at plus 135.
Plus 135. Yeah, I want to get there with Garland here tonight. He made 4 in the matchup earlier this season. He's made at least 3 in 3 out of the last 4 matchups against the Miami Heat as well. We talked about how Miami, or Delonte mentioned it, Miami doesn't defend the 3-point line. Neither of these teams do actually defend the 3-point line very well. Mm-hmm. He's had 24 or more points in 2 straight games against the Miami Heat. So I'll dig a little more into that and see if I want to get there, especially at a plus price.
Yeah.
All right, let's get over to the next game of the night, guys. It's going to be the LA Lakers against not the Heat. It's going to be the Knicks here tonight. Let me just change that here.
Against the Lakers.
Yeah, Lakers and Knicks here tonight. First game on the TNT doubleheader here tonight. It's going to be a 7:30 Eastern start between these two teams. Lakers did play last night in Brooklyn, just taking the train over to now Madison Square Garden there. But looking at the opening lines for this game, I am currently seeing the Knicks open up as a 1.5 point favorite. That number has pretty much stayed the course at -1.5 right now. Total opened up in this game at 237.5. That number's now been bet down to around 231.5, 232. And of course, that's because of the injury report right now for the LA Lakers. Last night, no LeBron. I know the news did come out, and Darvin Ham said that LeBron is dealing with significant soreness in his foot/ankle. So we'll see if he plays here tonight. It is the Garden. Anthony Davis also sat out last night as injury management. We'll see if he goes here tonight in New York. But pretty clean injury report for the Knicks as well. Only person that is going to be out, we know, is Mitchell Robinson, who is dealing with the right thumb injury. Scott, why don't you lead us off for this game here? The New York Knicks as a 1.5 point favorite hosting the LA Lakers.
I feel like I got to go with the Knicks just based on the injury report right now. I can't make a case for the Lakers if LeBron's dealing with significant soreness and there's a chance he doesn't play in this game. And Anthony Davis, you never know either because he's dealing with a stress injury, or maybe it was a rest day, whatever. The point is that if the Lakers could be without either of them or both, I want nothing to do with the Lakers on a back-to-back. The Knicks aren't a great team, but they're good. They're fine. At home, they have not been that amazing, but I do assume that they will be able to handle a potentially shorthanded Lakers team. And even if you end up seeing LeBron and AD on the court together, of course they're better. It's not like that they've been some invincible duo this year. I mean, the Lakers still don't have a great record in general. So I'm going to go with the Knicks. I think they'll find a way at home. But it's mostly just trying to fade the Lakers on a back-to-back with no guarantee that LeBron and or Anthony Davis are playing. Until I have that certainty that both of them are in the lineup, at this point, don't you have to take the Knicks? There's no value on the Lakers at all on the road if you don't know who's playing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think LeBron ends up sitting. I think we may see Anthony Davis here tonight just because I think they knew that they were in a back-to-back situation.
It's the significant soreness part of it where, of course, he's still trying to catch Kareem. He's going to catch Kareem, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah. You make an argument that he needs to play every game because, they're still competing for a playoff spot, and I don't even know how much the Lakers are taking the playoffs seriously, to be honest with you, based on how they handle the injury report half the time. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It just seems like LeBron, we know he's going to catch Kareem. It's going to happen at some point. It just depends on when. And I don't think the Lakers are going to force him to play through some serious soreness if he doesn't need to, because we've seen them bench LeBron for health reasons a decent amount this season. So I don't think it's worth it. I think it's probably better off to let some of the soreness potentially heal itself. And it's not going to help if he's on the court for 35 minutes. So I don't think he's going to play in this game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But 1.5 seems very low when you don't exactly know the Lakers' injury status for their superstars tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we'll see LeBron here tonight for the LA Lakers. Lakers back-to-back situations this season, 4-4 against spread. but they are 6-2 to the over in back-to-back games. And again, probably have to dig a little more deeper to see if LeBron was in those games or if he wasn't. But last night they gave up 121 to the Brooklyn Nets in that first leg of a back-to-back here tonight against the Knicks. I really didn't have much for this game just because of what Scott just mentioned there. We don't know about the injuries for the Lakers if both of their superstars sit here tonight or if one is able to go. So, Delonte, why don't you give your handicap and then we could play a scenario if AD plays, where do we think the line moves? But what do you think about this game right now as far as the Knicks?
Yeah, it's like hard to handicap, like you guys said, with the injury designation to LeBron. And I mean, my gut instinct tells me that they both play. I
Okay.
know that they were saying, LeBron has significant soreness, but I mean, what it would be just added to, I guess, the LeBron legacy if he goes out, plays with a bum ankle, and scores like 40, and that just it's just more. It's just more like it's more praise for him, I guess, if he does that. But that's just something, if you know LeBron, he likes stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if he plays, and if he plays well. Like, I'm not saying that he's not hurt, but it could be a little bit exaggerated knowing LeBron. If you've seen his reaction to that not call foul, then you know what I mean.
That's where he probably got hurt.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks at this number might be a decent play, but I wouldn't play it. I'm waiting for the news to come down that LeBron and AD both are going to play, and I'll be on the Lakers. If not, I'll just stay away, like you guys said. I mean, the Knicks 2-3 straight up, and ATS the last 5. They have played 4 of the last 5 on the road, so returning back home could be a little bit of a boost, but it is LeBron and AD in the Garden. So, well, if they play, of course, but it's just hard to get a read on either side, not knowing if AD and LeBron are going to play. But one thing that's for sure is I like the over even if they do or don't play. Both teams are allowing 120 plus in 3 of their last 5 games, and they're not playing much defense at all. So even without those guys, I like the over. If those guys are ruled in, I'll be on the Lakers. If not, I'll sit this one out.
Yeah, if let's assume that one of these two guys are in. Does his line move to a pick then, or does you think the Lakers get favored? Let's say Anthony Davis gets ruled in.
Yeah, if AD's in, I think it pretty much stays the same because he's still hobbled, and I don't know if they're gonna like full strength. AD, of course, would move the line maybe a point, but if LeBron and AD are both in, I would assume that it would go to pick or Lakers like -1. That's just my hunch.
Yeah, I thought it would be like more Lakers -2 or maybe in -3.
Yeah.
If
I don't think it would move that much, in my opinion, just because the
mean,
Lakers are still not a good basketball
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Just I mean, off of the strength of them not being 100%. Now, if they were 100%, and
Yeah,
it
that
was
makes
just a rest thing, then yeah, maybe like 2.5. But being that they're still banged up, I would say maybe 1. I mean, like Scott said, the Lakers, they aren't very good, but I mean, the Knicks aren't world beaters either. They've been playing well, for stretches, but not on a consistent basis. I think the Lakers can dictate the tempo and get out and run. I do, however, think that the Knicks will struggle defending the paint, especially if AD plays. So if AD plays, I'm definitely like, if him or LeBron plays, I'm in on the Lakers. I just need one of them ruled in, but I think they'll dominate the paint. Second in points per game in the paint. The Knicks don't do an extremely well job of defending the paint without Mitchell Robinson. So yeah, I mean, if AD's in, all I need is one, really. If one is in, I'm all over the Lakers.
I do see player props listed for both guys here tonight.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Anthony Davis get rules in. I think it's going to be a big AD night here tonight. I'm not sure who's going to be able to stay in front of him. You'll probably see Jericho Sims try to guard him, but he gets into foul trouble. And Julius Randle, doesn't really play defense as much as we think. So I would probably look at Anthony Davis props here tonight. So let's get into some player props here. Or we didn't touch on the total. I'm sorry. All right, let me address T-Rock and then we'll get into the total. He's asking, how do we feel about Knicks first quarter? Knicks are 17-7-1 at home against the spread. And in the first quarter, Lakers are 12-14 against the spread on the road. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, Scott?
I'm going to lean to the over. Delonte made a point before that both teams defensively have Not exactly been great. Let's put it that way. I see points. I like the over in this one. For the first quarter, I feel like I kind of have to agree with the Knicks, or at least the Knicks first half. We've seen the Lakers kind of dig themselves into holes, even with LeBron and AD, and then they try to claw out of it in the third quarter, and they make kind of some runs here and there.
Yeah.
But I've seen them come out a little bit flat in a decent amount of these games. So I probably would potentially look at Knicks first quarter, first half against a hobbled Lakers team or a shorthanded Lakers team.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the over in this game from a total perspective. I just think you'll see points.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Knicks have just been a cash cow in the first half. I think this was the case, not last season, but the season prior, where we just cashed in on the first half for the New York Knicks, and they've been consistent both at home and on the road. 19-6 at home, and on the road they're 17-9 against the spread in the first half. If you want to, break that down a little further, at home this season, over the last 10 games, they're 7-3. So it's been very consistent for the New York Knicks in the first quarter or first half. So I couldn't talk you off of that play. T-Rock. I agree about I agree about the over, what you mentioned there, Delonte. I think we do end up seeing points in this game as well. And again, probably goes into the Scott's theory of national televised games going over there, Scott.
Yeah, I do want to ask you, though, for research purposes, do you count the NBA TV games as nationally televised games?
No.
Okay. I'm asking because those have split. That's why I'm wondering. So
yeah, I guess because not everybody has access.
Yeah,
that's my point. It's still on TVs. That's why I'm asking. Just for
no, I'm with Munaf. I don't think so. It's not readily available to everybody.
Yeah, ABC, TNT, and ESPN. I think those were probably the three that we want to classify as the national TV games. Any player props you're looking at in this game? Delonte, why don't you lead us off with player props?
I was looking at Randall rebounds, but I think it's 11.5. That's kind of high.
I haven't seen 12.5.
Dang. Oh, okay. So I looked at the overnight. It was 11.5. So I don't know about that. Even though the Lakers are 26th in offensive rebound percentage, which means that Randall should clean up on the glass, especially if AD and LeBron are both out. But I think that number is a little bit too high. So I pivoted to Jalen Brunson over points and assists, 30.5. Metric wise, he hasn't went over this number a lot, but he has a favorable matchup. The Lakers struggle against point guards. He'll have the ball in his hands a lot, of course. And I think that if it's going to be a fast-paced game, he's going to have to score. He's going to have to hit a few threes. And he's also going to have to get some guys involved whenever it's time for them to, really put the game away if they're going to be in the lead late. So I like Jalen Brunson over 30.5 points and assists.
Yeah, Randall's had back-to-back games against the Lakers where he's had 16 or more, or at least 16 rebounds in each of those games. Obviously, everybody's going to be talking about the revenge narrative, but I don't know. I think that might be a little bit overblown at this point. But, I mean, he's had success against the Lakers. There's no question about that. Last 4 games, 34 points, 31 points, 20 points, and then 32 points. Especially without Mitchell Robinson in the lineup, I think those rebounds are definitely going to be up for grabs here tonight. Also, over the last 10 games, the Lakers are dead last as far as opponent rebounding. So they give up about 48 rebounds per game. So I couldn't talk you off of the Julius Randle rebound prop here tonight. Scott, player props?
I'm a big fan of Davis props if you can find rebounds, but unfortunately, I don't really see much of that available right now.
I see a 9.5.
Yeah, I see 9.5.
I'm with you on that too. I just didn't want to say it because we don't.
9.5 is low. 9.5 is low as hell. Like that. That's kind of an auto play there. I don't know how I'm supposed to avoid that. Now you can argue, well, if LeBron plays, he'll take some rebounds, and that's probably true. But he might not play. That number is very, very low. Like for Davis, who is going to have such a big role for this team, even looking at his games recently that he's played, he had 10 rebounds against Boston. He had 12 against San Antonio. He's been rebounding the ball well, even before injury. He's gone over this number quite regularly. So I just think this number is too low. And I think that with the Knicks using Sims, he has no offensive skills, let's be real. I think that Davis is going to be sitting in the paint half the time. So I think that you're going to have a lot of opportunities. 9.5 is very low. I guess I can understand it if they think that Davis might be limited in terms of minutes. I'm not sure he's going to be. I just think 9.5 is way too low. I'm going to go with the over.
The last game was Saturday, right? Against the
Celtics, yeah.
Boston Celtics. So
that went Sunday to overtime, but he played 34 minutes. So the fact that he played 34 means he could most likely play 30 plus in this game as well. So
yeah, I agree. I was looking at that as well. for him tonight. Even his points, if you can go points and rebounds, or if you just want to go rebounds for Anthony Davis here
I'm looking at
tonight.
double. Let me see what I can
Yeah.
find. For double.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on AD if he plays. He should have a monster game, especially without LeBron.
Yeah. Let's see here. Player combos.
I see minus 120 for double.
Same. Okay. All right. Let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the LA Clippers in Chicago here tonight to take on the Chicago Bulls. Looking at the opening lines for this game, the Clippers opened up as a 3-point favorite. The number has pretty much stayed the course at -3. The total opened up at 230. The number's been bet down to 226. Is pretty much the consensus number right now. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start here with a road team, the LA Clippers. Questionable tags for Robert Covington, Reggie Jackson, and Marcus Morris Sr. Those three guys are questionable. John Wall is ruled out for this game, and Kawhi Leonard and PG will play in this game here tonight against Chicago. For the Bulls, pretty clean injury report. Everybody looks like they're a go. Obviously, no Javonte Green and Lonzo Ball for the Chicago Bulls. Scott, why don't you lead us off with this game? Currently seeing the LA Clippers as a 3-point road favorite against the Chicago Bulls.
I'm taking the Clippers. I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer play here. You're looking at the last game, and you go, oh my God, the Clippers got killed. And then you realize, wait a second, of course they did, because Kawhi and Paul George didn't play. So you toss the game right out the window. It doesn't mean anything because they were missing their two superstars. The Bulls are still not a good team. I've been talking about them blowing it up for about a month and a half, and they're still chugging along, being a below average, basketball team. The Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George have been really good, and I feel like it's a very good spot for the Clippers to get back on track. And now that Paul George and Kawhi are going to play, historically Kawhi's been incredible against Chicago, and I think that he's in line for potentially a huge game here. But I do think at the end of the day, this number seems very short, fading a Chicago team that has really not been good, especially lately. And they're horrible late in games, and I just can't get over it. And when you have Kawhi and Paul George, you can go head-to-head against a team that's been underwhelming late in the fourth quarter of games. I like the Clippers. I just think that they're a good matchup, or they're a horrible matchup for Chicago. I think this is a good matchup for the Clippers. Give me the Clippers, because with Paul George and Kawhi, I just think that they have the better duo, and they have the better supporting cast. So I'm going to go with the Clippers. I think Chicago keeps it close. I'm not saying that this game's going to be a rout, but based on form and based on the Clippers basically punting a game against Cleveland just to get Kawhi and Paul George extra rest, I think they come out swinging in this one. I'm going to go with the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a matchup. Let's just say Alex Caruso, when he's coming off the bench, is going to be matched up on Paul George. That's just who's going to at that point guard Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, but again, like you mentioned, Kawhi Leonard just had a lot of success against the Chicago Bulls. But overall, in his last 5 games, Kawhi Leonard's averaging right at 30 points. He's shooting 63.6% from the floor, 48.3% from 3-point land. And he's just been, I mean, he starting to look like Kawhi Leonard that we're used to seeing. So, can't argue against that. And again, Paul George as well, right? Again, not the similar numbers, but he's still contributing where he can, right? Last 5 games, averaging close to 24.5 points, shooting 43.8% from 3-point line and 55.6% overall from the floor for the LA Clippers. So when you, Scott mentioned there that when both these guys are on the floor in Kawhi and Paul George, the Clippers just have success. And again, there's no other way to put it. But Delonte, what do you got for this game? -3 for the Clippers against the Bulls.
Yeah, I think it's way too short. I think it should be closer to like 5. Both teams have been playing well defensively. Honestly, the Chicago Bulls have surprised me the most with how they play defense. They have been top 5 in the last 3 games as far as defensive efficiency. They are returning home from a 3-game road trip where 3 of the last 5 have been on the road. They're 6-3 or 6-4 ATS the last 10. They've allowed under 110 points in 3 of the last 5 games. So defensively is what I'm impressed by with Chicago, but the matchup, like Scott mentioned, is just not for them. PG and Kawhi should feast. And the Clippers offensively, they haven't been as good metric-wise simply because they just haven't had Kawhi and PG in the lineup. When Kawhi and PG are on the floor together, they're outscoring opponents by almost 11 points per 100 possessions. So that just goes to show you the firepower that they have and how well they play and how well they play together. Another thing that I like about the Clippers is the depth, and the Bulls don't have much depth to throw out. So I think the Clippers come out and I think they destroy Chicago here. I'm not even remotely close to this number. I guess an angle that you could look for with Chicago is first quarter. They are the second best first quarter team in the NBA. They don't have a high cover margin in the first quarter, just like plus point 0.9. But in the last 10, the 7-2-1, and they're covering by 4.3 points per quarter. They've raised up to 9th in defensive rating, but like I said, matchup wise, I don't think it's favorable to them in this matchup. So give me the Clippers laying a short number.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Clippers here tonight. I know Chicago has been doing well against stellar competition this season, where it was completely opposite last season, where they were getting crushed by teams above 500 or better competition. But this season they've done better. But again, I feel like the Clippers are, they're clicking right now when both Paul George and Kawhi are in the lineup, and both those guys are playing well. So. And Scott mentioned it as well that when it comes down to the fourth quarter, I definitely trust Kawhi Leonard and Paul George more. When Zach LaVine, jacks up an ill-advised 3-point shot where it kind of costs them the game or possession. So I like the Clippers in this game. Total in this game currently sitting at 226.5. Currently over on WinBet. Scott, any thoughts on the total?
I'm really torn on this one because I'm not sure the Bulls can get many stops, and I know that you're looking at Paul George and Kawhi, and I think they both could have big games. The problem is I do think the Clippers defensively are good enough to limit LaVine or DeRozan or both, and I'm not sure how much the Bulls contribute because of it.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to lean under, but I really don't feel great about it.
Okay. Yeah. I was leaning towards the Clippers team total in this game to go over. We talked a lot about right now with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard being in the lineup. They put up points, right? If you take a look at their last 5 games, they've scored 120 or more in 4 out of those 5 games, or 130 or more in 3 out of those 5 games. Now, I know it hasn't been against good defenses. They put up 138 against the Spurs, 133 against the Lakers, and then 131 against the Spurs again. But when those two guys are on the floor, the offense is very, very efficient. So that was one way I would look at a total in this game if I had to make a pick. Delonte, you have any thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I like the under. I think that they're gonna slow the game down. It's a little bit inflated to me simply because of what you just stated with the Clippers putting up those big numbers against those terrible defenses. Now the Bulls aren't terrible defensively, so I think they'll hang in there and be able to limit somewhat Clippers offense. Now I don't think they'll limit them enough to be able to stay within the number, but the way they've been playing lately defensively, I think they can limit what the Clippers do defensively. So I would lean to the under. The Bulls have been playing extremely well to the under. 6 of the last 10 have went under. And they've allowed under 110 points in 3 of the last 5 games. I know that it doesn't bode well for your team total, but they haven't matched up with the Clippers. So
yeah,
I'm with you on the Clippers team total. I just don't think the Bulls will be able to get there. I look for 110, 105 type of game, 110, 105, 110, 100 type of game.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to some player props in this game. Delonte, why don't you lead us off if you have any player props?
I seen in the in the comment section about the Paul Patrick Williams. But I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. His points and rebounds over 17.5. He's went over in 3 of the last 4. He's been more aggressive offensively early on in his career, and in his season, he wasn't as aggressive offensively. He's had double-digit shot attempts in in those 3 games that he's went over. So it all coincides with, if he's aggressive, then he pretty much gets the results. And they're probably going to have Zubac on Vucevic, and I don't know how effective he will be, but that leaves some room for Patrick Williams to come in and get a few rebounds. Scott mentioned PG and Kawhi having a good matchup. I think they both have excellent matchups. I don't know.
It's mostly Kawhi based on just recent form and his historical numbers against Chicago, but I think Paul George has a decent matchup too. But it's mostly Kawhi if I had to pick between the two guys.
Yeah, I would pick PG, not because of the trends, but I just think that he'll be more prone to playing later in the games than Kawhi. I think if they get up big, Kawhi is more prone to sit down, whereas PG, he'll still get up and run. If it gets out of hand like 15, 16, third quarter, they're probably going to sit Kawhi more than they would PG. That's just something that I've just noticed. But I do like Kawhi under 4.5 assists at plus money. He's went under in 9 of the last 11 games. Just not looking to pass the ball as much. He pretty much operates in that free throw line extended, just getting up shots. Not going to be a lot of passing out unless he's getting double teamed. And they usually swing the ball. That defender that catches his pass usually swings the ball, so that brings down his assists. So I'll take under 4.5 assists on him, and give me PG over 24 points. I'll take it. He's went over in 2 of the last 3.
All right, Scott, any player props?
I was tempted by Kawhi, but I am a little bit concerned about blowout potential in this game. It really does feel a bit one-sided. I could see the Clippers running away with this thing. I think Zubac's fascinating because he just can't stay out of foul trouble to save his life in half of these games. And you're trying to look at his numbers and how, usually he's a pretty good rebounder and he occasionally has some offensive skills. I can't tell if Vucevic would actually force him into foul trouble or not, because Vucevic is more of a finesse guy, but he also will drag Zubac away from the paint. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I actually like the matchup for Zubac or not. Maybe I'd look at Zubac's unders just because I do think he might end up in foul trouble in this game, especially if he has to deal with DeRozan and company, who's phenomenal at foul hunting. I could see Zubac getting into foul trouble pretty quickly in this game. So I maybe would consider maybe pivoting and taking an under with him. But Kawhi is going to be the main player prop that people like. I was also interested in it, but I don't know. He's going over quite frequently, but it's just a matter of the Clippers either A, winning by margin, or B, just really having a balanced attack. And I'm not sure if Kawhi is going to need to drop 30 in this game. I'm kind of torn on him, personally.
Yeah, I was looking at Zubac as well, but
you're looking at overs or unders?
I was looking at his over on his rebounds. It's at 8.5, but I can see why it's at 8.5 tonight, because he just hasn't had a lot of success against the Clippers rebounding the basketball. I know last game he had 9. But other than that, it's been pretty subpar for Ivan Zubac. And kind of take a look at the opponent rebounding numbers over the last 10 games. Chicago is number 26, but I feel like there's opportunities where Kawhi can get rebounds and Paul George can get rebounds as well for this Clippers team. So for me, I really didn't come into player props. The only one I was concerned was Zubac, but nothing was, pointing me in the direction of going either over or under on his player prop here tonight for at least his rebounds. Anything else for player props in this game, guys?
Nope.
Nope. All right, let's keep it rolling here. 2 games left on the schedule. Let's go over to the Charlotte Hornets in Milwaukee here tonight to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Looking at the opening line for this game, this opened up in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks at minus 11.5. That number's been bet down to minus 11. Nothing significant. Big movement on the total here, though. Opened up at 239. That number's up to 244 at most shops. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Charlotte Hornets, pretty clean injury report. Cody Martin and Kelly Oubre Jr. continue to be out, but everybody else is a go in this game. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis is probable here tonight, as well as Beauchamp is probable here tonight as well. Drew Holiday is in, along with Chris Middleton as well. Bobby Portis, we know, is going to be out for another couple weeks here for the Milwaukee Bucks. Delonte, why don't you lead us off with this game between the Bucks and the Charlotte Hornets, where I think the last game is where the Hornets just came out and absolutely blitzed the Milwaukee Bucks, especially in that first quarter where they gave up 51 points to the Milwaukee Bucks, looking for some revenge here tonight.
Yeah, and the Charlotte Hornets have been playing. They played Milwaukee extremely tough. 9-3 ATS the last 12 matchups. And like you mentioned, they had that big first quarter and routed them by 20 plus. They didn't have Middleton in that game, but Giannis had a very, very poor outing. I think he
had 9 points, right?
Yeah, I was about to say he scored under double digits. Yeah, and in the previous matchup before that, the Bucks won 105-96. They had no Giannis, Drew, or Middleton, and the Hornets didn't have Melo or Hayward. I agree with the total being bumped up because everybody's fully healthy. And And with those guys fully healthy, I think both teams are going to be able to score somewhat. The Bucks have been playing well. 6-3-1 ATS. They've won 3 in a row. The 17-8 ATS at home. And Charlotte is more prone to covering on the road, 15-12-1 ATS on the road than they are at home. The Bucks have scored 135 plus points in 3 of the last 5 games. I don't see that changing. The play that I like the most in the game, like if I would play the spread, I would just lay it with Milwaukee. But I'm not. I would go with the first quarter. Bucks 7-3 ATS in the first quarter. They're covering by almost 9 points per first quarter. The Hornets are bottom 5 in first quarter ATS record, getting outscored by 3 points per first quarter. So I would play the first quarter there. As far as that, I mean, it's pretty much all I got in the game. I mean, the Hornets, they are what they are. Not a good offensive or defensive team. They rely a lot on the 3 ball. The Bucks defend the 3 pretty well. The 3rd in defensive rating. I would just lay it with the Bucks if I had to play it, but I don't. So I'll just lay the first quarter 3.5 is the number that I got for that.
All right, Scott, what do you got for this game?
Yeah, that's my favorite play. It's going to be Milwaukee first quarter. And I know that it sounds dangerous because they literally just gave up 50 to the same team in the first quarter last meeting, but that actually gives me more incentive to even take it. Yeah. Milwaukee this season's been incredible in the first quarter, especially lately. So Milwaukee in the first quarter has a point differential of plus 2.4, which is the 3rd best in the league. In the last 3 games alone, Milwaukee has a point differential in the first quarter of plus 10.7. Charlotte, on the other hand, is the 3rd worst team in point differential in the first quarter at -3. Last 3 games, -9. So even though Charlotte did well in the first quarter last time, Giannis might have been injured there because he ended up missing some time with the injury right after it. But Milwaukee's been great in the first quarter. Charlotte hasn't. And I do think after whatever that last head-to-head meeting was with Giannis and company, basically no-showing the game, there's a little bit of extra motivation for Milwaukee to kick the crap out of this team. And I think that since everything went wrong in the first quarter last meeting, Milwaukee just comes out and absolutely just lays it on them in the first 12 minutes. Give me a Milwaukee in the first quarter. I think they're probably up at least 5 after 1. They might be up 10 after 1. Giannis might have another game where he goes for 15 points in the first quarter, and they might just be dominating. For the full game, I don't want to take Milwaukee full game because, as you said before, Charlotte, for whatever reason, has given this team problems. And we saw it against Indiana, where Milwaukee was up by 30, and they stopped caring, and suddenly you're sweating out a spread in the final minute of the game when they were up 30 about an hour ago. So I'm not going to touch the full game spread, but I do like that first quarter number. Milwaukee's been really good in the first quarter lately, and after whatever happened in that blowout loss against the same team, I think there's a little extra incentive for Milwaukee to just come out firing, and I think they'll be able to do so.
Yeah, I like Milwaukee as well, early and often in this game. And again, everything that you just mentioned there as well, the coming off of an embarrassing loss against the Charlotte Hornets, where they, like I said, gave up 51 points in that first quarter. So I expect him to play better here, or as a team play better tonight. And you laid it all out there, Scott. I'm not going to repeat everything that about the first quarter numbers. I also did play, first quarter team total for the Milwaukee Bucks as well, 32.5 in this game. They've just been coming out on fire. Again, I really don't see who's going to be able to contain Giannis at all night. And again, 3-point shooting has been there for as well. Grayson Allen has been shooting the ball well. Drew Holiday has been getting buckets as well. I know Chris Middleton, I think they've been bringing him off the bench, but this team is healthy and they're firing on all cylinders right now. So I think this is a team right now that you probably want to back. I'm not afraid of the big number here tonight. I would probably still lay it with the Milwaukee Bucks. I just come out and think that they just absolutely killed this team. Won't be surprised if they win by 15 plus here tonight against this Charlotte Hornets team. Bit of a breaking news. LeBron is going to be playing here tonight for the LA Lakers. So there you go. And let me see if they added a note for Anthony Davis or not.
But his foot is sore or something.
Whatever
That means,
yeah, I think if it was in the Garden, if it was in the Garden, he wouldn't be playing here tonight. But yeah, LeBron in tonight. All right, let's get to the total in this game, guys. That number is currently a big number right now at 244. Delonte, any thoughts on the total?
I mean, I wanted to play the over at the open, but like now I'm kind of like in the mindset that Charlotte, I mean, they're three ball reliant mostly for the offense, and I don't think Milwaukee's going to allow them to come out and just rain threes on them. So I would versus the total, I would lean to the over, but I wouldn't play it. I would just much rather play Milwaukee team total over 127 and a half. They went over this number in 5 of the last 7. They play extremely well at home, and I think you brought up an interesting point about Chris Middleton coming off the bench. I think that allows them basically more scoring power in that second unit when he's there. So that it just
100%.
goes more into the first quarter play. And why I liked him in the first quarter, because I mean, you got a guy that comes in off the bench. I mean, I know he's getting his legs back under him, but he still has been playing extremely well. Shot looks good. He's just playing with the second unit to withstand some of those minutes and not play against the top 5 guys on the other team as much, because I don't think he's ready for that much intensity just yet. But yeah, I would lean to the over still. I wouldn't play it. I would much rather play the team total of the Bucks over 127 and a half. Just thinking that, I mean, defensively, the Bucks are one of the best teams in the NBA. And after what Charlotte did to them in that first quarter, I think that's going to bring some fire out of them, and they're going to lock down the Hornets, who's pretty much relying on a 3. And if 3 is not falling, they got no other way to score. So give me the Bucks team total over. I'd lean to the over, but I don't love it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's gonna be a spot where I probably take all 3 team totals to go over here tonight for the Bucks. First quarter, first half, and full game.
Parlay it. Can you parlay it?
That's too correlated. They won't.
Yeah,
I
I don't think it'll let you do that. But yeah, again, we talked about Milwaukee's just they're firing on all cylinders, and I think that's a great point about Chris Middleton as well. Their last game, I forgot who they played because I was on them. Their first quarter team total, they scored like 38. And
Pacers, I think, right? Was it the Pacers?
Yeah. Was it the Pacers?
I think so, yeah, because Terrell and I both had the Bucks first quarter as our lock, and you had the team total.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, it's the part that they had Middleton coming off the bench, so they're starting Grayson Allen and Covington together with Brook Lopez and then Drew Holiday, right? So that gives you, I guess you could say, 4 shooters around Giannis, and Giannis can again get to the basket as well at will and just finish with some easy baskets inside the paint or even get to the free throw line.
Pelicans last game, Pacers the game before that.
Okay. Scott, thoughts on the total?
I think I'm going to lean under here. I want to take the over, but I think it's too high at this point. I think Milwaukee's going to play better defensively. I mean, looking at the head-to-head meetings, you have had some lower scoring games compared to what this total is. First game, of course, landed 247. Reminder that you saw Charlotte score 50-plus in the first quarter, and Milwaukee benched the entire team. So I'm not exactly sure what to read into from that game. But the other meetings in the last couple of years, 201, 230. Sorry, so it was 201, 236, 202, 220. So I've seen some low-scoring games between these teams. I just think that the number's too inflated based on how the first meeting went. I think Charlotte offensively is going to struggle more, obviously, than what they did in the last meeting. I'm going to lean under. I mean, you got 2 elite rim protectors, right? You got like Giannis and Lopez, and you got Mason Plumlee. What more could you want? So I'm going to go with the under. That was kind of a Mason Plumlee joke there for Munaf. But still, I'm going to go with the under. I just think this number is a little bit too high. I think Milwaukee, once again, after that defensive, whatever you want to call it, against Charlotte last game out, there's extra motivation to bring it on that end, and I think they will. So I'm going to go with the under.
All right. Player props in this game, if anything, Delonte?
I like Giannis points and rebounds, 46.5. He's went over in 3 straight, and Scott, highlighted the problems of the Hornets at the rim. They should be playing Mark Williams a whole lot more. I think I said that like every time we cover the Hornets game. He's just more athletic, more offensively. He's more offensively skilled than Plumlee. Plumlee is just a better facilitator at this point. And that's not taking anything away from Plumlee, because I think he's a decent player. I think a contender should actually try to go get him. Yeah, I think a contender should actually try to go and get Mason Plumlee, because he can do some things for a contender, I think. But all that said, like Giannis points and rebounds, he should dominate the game. The only thing I'm worried about, like we all are, is just blowout potential and him sitting in the fourth quarter when they're up like 25-30. On the Hornet side, I do like Terry Rozier over threes made 2.5. He's went over 5 of the last 7. He's also averaging 8.7 attempts per game in that span, so the volume is going to be there. And the Hornets, like I said, rely on the three ball a lot. He's going to have to make them if they want to at least be, I guess, somewhat competitive. But I think I like Rozier a lot. I think he can do some things for a contender also if the Hornets are looking to move some of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. So give me Terry Rozier over 2.5 made threes, and Giannis points and rebounds 46.5 over.
All right. Let's get to the last game of the night here, guys. It's going to be the New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Denver Nuggets in the Mile High City. Is this the second game of the doubleheader here tonight? I believe so. Let me double check here. Yeah,
for
it
TV,
is.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with the opening line here. That's going to be in favor of the Denver Nuggets at -8. That number's now been bet down to -7. Do see some -6.5 out there as well. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the New Orleans Pelicans, Dyson Daniels will be out for this game. Zion Williamson, we know, is going to be out for the Pelicans as well. CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram are a full go here tonight for the Pelicans. For the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray is questionable here tonight with left knee injury management. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And Colin Gillespie is out here tonight with a right lower leg fracture for the Denver Nuggets. Scott, why don't you lead us off for this game? Currently seeing a -7 in favor of the Denver Nuggets hosting the New Orleans Pelicans.
So I can understand why money has come in on New Orleans. First of all, injury news, because Murray, it seems like it's probably not going to play, if I had to guess, because they've been very cautious with his leg injury recently. They played recently in the Smoothie King Center, and the Nuggets won that game by 1, and Ingram wasn't playing in that game, so they just played and the game was close. However, I think I am going to lean to Denver in this one. They really let a golden opportunity to beat up on a pretty solid overall team slip through the fingertips last time out against Philly, where they just no-showed the second half. New Orleans has been horrible. They've lost 8 straight. Makes sense. They have no offensive talent. Now they do because Ingram's back. But I can't look past the fact this team is 9-16 on the road. They're just a horrible road team. And even with Ingram playing, they still lost to Milwaukee by 25, lost to Washington by 10, lost to Minnesota by 9. Those were home games against Washington and Minnesota. I think I'm going to lean to Denver. I know this team struggled a bit lately to win by margin or even just to win in general. But when you lose road games to Philly and Milwaukee, I'll give you a little bit of slack because those are 2 pretty solid overall NBA teams. I'm going with Denver here. I feel like most people are going to take New Orleans because the last meeting was close. But I can't look past these home road splits. Denver is still a very good home team, and they should be motivated after they probably should have beaten Philly based on what we saw for 2.5 quarters of that game. I think New Orleans isn't a good team, and they're waiting for Zion to come back. Zion really is the savior of that roster. And with him still being out, I really don't care about Ingram being back. So, because Ingram doesn't guard anybody either, so that kind of just cancels out. But I'm going to go with Denver. I feel like Jokic is in line for another masterpiece, and you'll probably see Denver win by 10. But losing 8 straight and being this bad on the road, I don't want to make a case for the Pelicans when you already missed 1.5 of value because the line's dropped. I'm going to go with Denver. I think they'll win this game comfortably.
Delonte.
Yeah, I'm with you, Scott. I would just, if you like Denver, I would just wait until Jamal Murray is officially ruled out.
I don't think he's going to play. So
yeah. I mean, maybe you'll get maybe you'll get a little bit more value if he's ruled out. Maybe that's baked into the line and why it has moved towards the Pelicans. Not sure if it'll move again, but I would just wait and just make sure that he's ruled out and see what the line does. I like Denver a lot in this spot. New Orleans 3-7, ATS the last 10. They just can't manufacture any offense. Brandon Ingram's back. I mean, he's doing what he can. I think he was supposed to be on like somewhat of a minutes restriction, but like they just have to play him because they have nobody that can just score. And CJ is limited. He has to score and get guys involved. So it's kind of taken away from some of the things that he wants to do scoring wise, is putting a load on him. So they haven't scored 110 in 5 straight games. They have had under 105 and 4 of the last 5. So that just goes to show you they have no offense, no rhythm. They're 10-15 ATS on the road. They struggle defending the rim, which Joker should have a field day. The thing that they do well that can combat with the Denver offense is they defend the three well, the first and effective 3-point percentage defense. I mean, in the last 3 games, they're 29th in offensive efficiency. So that just goes back to show you that they just don't have it offensively. And Denver is one of the better offenses in the league. I think that they come out angry after what happened in Philly, like you mentioned, Scott. And I wouldn't be afraid to lay it here. But like I said, just wait a little. I don't think you're going to lose any value if Jamal Murray if he's ruled in, but I think you'll gain some if he's ruled out. Also look at the first quarter. Denver, best first quarter team in the NBA, covering by almost 4 points per first quarter, 16-9-1 in the first quarter at home, plus 4.85 cover margin. So that's something to look at if you don't want to play the full game. Is Denver in the first quarter? But yeah, I like Denver here, laying a short number.
Yeah, I love Denver in this first quarter. I mean, you mentioned it there, Delonte. The numbers just speak for themselves, right? They're 16. Or let me see, at home this season they are
16-9-1.
Yeah. 16-9-1 against the spread. I think they've been even better over the last 10 games. Let's see if I can pull that up. 7-3.
Oh, yeah.
And Pelicans, I know they did get Brandon Ingram back, but on the road over the last 10 games, 4-5-1 against the spreads. And again, we talked about, and Scott went through the schedule, right? That Pelicans, in the absence of Zion and BI, were able to beat teams that are bottom of the barrel, right? They beat Detroit. I think Rockets were in there. The Magic, I think, were in there as well. So
that was still like 3-4 weeks ago. But yes.
But even now, like even with Brandon Ingram back, I think Delonte mentioned that they just haven't been able to generate enough offense. And Scott, like you mentioned, it's really that they're missing Zion right now that really makes this team go. So. And again, BI is probably still getting his legs back under him since he missed close to 2 months with the toe injury.
Mm-hmm.
And Denver right now, they're firing all cylinders. I probably do expect Jamal Murray to sit here tonight because they have a game against the Golden State Warriors on Thursday night.
Oh, good angle.
So yeah, they're probably saving him for that. If not, because I think Golden State's going to be on a back-to-back because they play Wednesday and then they have Wolves on Wednesday and then they have the Denver Nuggets on Thursday. So
another primetime game on a back-to-back where the Golden State might bench half their team?
No, I think they'll sit people for the Wolves and then play the Nuggets is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I think that's that would be the smart thing to do, right?
I think just play sits because he doesn't play back. I mean I've seen Steph Curry playing back-to-back games where it's mattered, right?
Yeah, Steph has been
I'm going to ask who's the home team for that Golden State game on Thursday?
Denver's at home.
I think they're going to sit the Denver game.
Okay.
In my opinion.
That would be Steve. I mean, that's Steve Kerr.
You make an argument on what's smart. See, the thing is, you make an argument on what's smart and what's not. Of course, on one hand, you want to see if you can go toe-to-toe with the 1 seed in the West. On the other hand, if you have a better chance of beating Minnesota and you want to use the starters for one of the 2 games, then wouldn't you just be better off using them against Minnesota, who sucks, and then you could rest everyone against a team you might not beat anyway?
Well, competitive advantage. Tell Adam Silver, pick up the phone, let Steve Kerr know.
I'm just saying, like, if you want to talk about what's the smart move, technically
I agree.
Using them against the worst team is the smarter move.
I agree. Just for entertainment purposes.
And then Saturday night, they have a primetime game against Dallas on ABC.
If it was a home game, then Golden State, I think, would use all their starters for that game. But in Denver, no. We saw last year, they took turns benching their starters against each other. I think it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, you probably see them sit on Thursday, and then because Saturday night they have a primetime game against Dallas in their building, back in the Bay Area. So yeah, that's a good point there, Scott. Quickly on the total here, Scott. Do you have anything for the total?
Well, the last meeting didn't even get to 200, but now you have Ingram in, and I think it's a completely different animal. So I'm not going to blindly take the under because of what happened in the last meeting. Having said that, 231.5 does seem very high. So I am going to take the under. The first 2 meetings have landed below 228, but I just think this number's too high. I think you can make a case that Denver can do well offensively. I'm not sure New Orleans can, or maybe New Orleans defensively figures something out if Murray, of course, sits and maybe the backup point guards don't exactly look sharp off ball with their cuts, but I'm going to go with the under. This number just seems a little bit high to me. 231.5 seems very large. I'm going to go with an under. I think this game probably gets into the low 220s.
Yeah.
Okay. Dante, thoughts on total?
Yeah, I like the under. Denver is explosive offensively, but lately they've been playing towards the under. Actually, in the first quarter, they're definitely 57 plus percent of their games in the first quarter have went under. That's their top 5 in that metric. As far as full game, on the road, well, I'm sorry, as a favorite, they're under 500. As far as like over to under, so they play more so to the under. 16 of their 26 home games have went under the closing total. So that's something to monitor. And like we mentioned, the New Orleans offense, it just isn't there right now until they get Zion back and they get more into a flow back like they were at the beginning of the season. I think they're going to play towards under. So yeah, give me the under in this game. I don't know if either team gets 200 again. I mean, the Nuggets could come out and
I'm
play
assuming Denver's
conservative.
going to get to at least 110 at home, if I had to guess. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. I guess you could say that. Yeah, so I guess we'll be 110, 96 ish. Would be my guess.
All right. Let's get into some player props here for tonight. Scott, you have anything for player props?
I mean, isn't this player prop section pretty much just whether or not Jokic gets a triple double or not? I feel like
Basically
that's a
look at
good
his
place to start.
Box score because or against the Pelicans at least, because he's had 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 6 games he's had a triple double, and those 2 games where he fell short, it was only by 1 assist.
He had 25, 11, and 10 in the last matchup.
Yeah,
He's just so damn good. Yeah. So I think that's a good place to start. I think he will have a triple double. I don't maybe mind points because with Jamal Murray being out, you're assuming Jokic is going to shoot more.
Yep.
So if you want to pivot, you can take that. I like Ingram over in points. It's just about shot volume for me. He's only played 2 games since coming back from injury, and he's taken 18 plus shots in each of those games. The volume should be there for Ingram, and I'm not sure Denver can actually stay in front of him. Who's going to guard him? Michael Porter Jr.? That's a complete waste of time. So I'll go with Ingram over. Yeah, somebody's going to have to try to guard him, and based on the length, I'm assuming it would be Michael Porter Jr., and that's basically a traffic cone. So I'll go with the over on Ingram. I think he's in line for a good game today.
Delonte, any player props?
Yeah, I'm with you on Ingram. I got over 21 points. A good matchup for him. Like you said, Munaf, he was getting his legs back under him. Yeah, sheer volume alone. Like he wasn't supposed to play as much as he's been playing, but I mean they just have to play him if they want to be competitive and actually put up some points. So yeah, I like him a lot. Over 21. We mentioned the Joker. I know Jose asked about his assists. I got something a little bit better. Let's go points, rebounds, and assists over 47. He's went over this in 5 of the last 8. He's had triple doubles in 6 of the last 8. Pelicans can't defend the rim. They're 30th in rim percentage defense. He should have a field day. And when they come and double him, he'll dump it off to Aaron Gordon, alleys, outside to KCP and some of those shooters. So I like the matchup for Joker over 47 points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah, I was going to go Joker rebounds and assists here tonight, 21.5 at even money. I think that, again, if we think that he's going to get a triple-double, like he pretty much has been against the Pelicans team,
right.
That number should clear for him tonight. Again, his rebounding should be there as well for him tonight in this game. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope.
I don't think I have anything else. No.
All right, let's get into our lock and dog for the schedule here tonight. Delonte, why don't you lead us off, my man?
All right, man. For the lock, I'm going to go with the Bucks first quarter. I think we all went over it. We all liked it. 7-3 ATS in the first quarter, plus 8.5 cover margin in that span. The Hornets are bottom 5 team ATS in the first quarter, getting outscored by just over 3 points in the first quarter. I think the Bucks come out with a purpose. They want to get some rest, get those guys in, blowout potential, and they come up with I guess 35-22 would be my prediction for the score. As far as the lock, can I still get the Lakers at a plus price even though LeBron got ruled in? I'm seeing like even money.
I see plus 1.5 is still out there.
Yeah, let me get LeBron in the Garden, getting a 1.5. I was gonna read off some of his numbers against New York, but we didn't get that news until later. But as His points, rebounds, and assists is 41.5. This is just another angle to look at. He is over in that 10 of the last 12. He's averaging 43 points, rebounds, and assists versus the Knicks in his career as a Laker. So, bum ankle or not, we'll see how bum it is. But I think he puts on a show tonight in the Garden. So give me the Lakers, and also take a look at that points, rebounds, and assists for LeBron.
All right. Scott, what do you got?
All right. So I'm gonna also lock up the Bucks first quarter at -4. Quarter plays have done well for me. Usually it's involving fading Indiana, which is basically free money every time you take it. But I'm gonna go with Milwaukee first quarter. They've been so good in the first quarter, and they're looking at Charlotte. They have not. And after what happened in the first quarter, last time these teams got together, I think Milwaukee has extra incentive to run it up on them early. Give me Milwaukee first quarter. If you want to pivot off of that, you could take Giannis first quarter points at 8.5. I think he might be in line to go over his full game total in the last meeting in the first 12 minutes. I think Giannis might have a huge game there. But give me the Bucks first quarter. I like that play. And for my dog, I'm actually going to go with a parlay here. I'm going to go with the Cavaliers and the Clippers money lines, and that pays out at roughly plus 160. I like both those teams there. I think it's a good spot. You could take an alt line, but I'm not going to bother because the Clippers, I think they should win by margin, but Chicago plays up the competition. I'd feel better about the money line, and I think the Cavs at home should look pretty sharp here. So I'll go with the 2-pick money line parlay as my dog at plus 160.
All right.
Just so before you go, Munaf, just so me and Scott don't have the same one, we can just I'll give it another one. I'll lay the points with the Cavs. Just if anybody else agrees with that, just lay the points with the Cavs. I think it's a good spot. Jimmy is, I'm leaning towards him. I'm thinking he's leaning towards not playing, so you get some value on that number. I would just go bet it right now, laying a short number. Cleveland, good defensive team. Miami struggles on the road, as we brought up earlier on in the podcast. So I think that Cleveland is a good spot here, good chance to come out and rout Miami at home, where they're pretty much unbeatable at home. But yeah, give me the Cavs -4 too. Also.
All right. All right. For my lock, I agree about what you guys said about the first quarter for the Bucks, but I'm also going to take their team total over 32.5 in that first quarter for the Milwaukee Bucks. Also, we'll give out the Clippers -3 here tonight as my lock as well. So 2 locks there. We talked about when PG and Kawhi are both in the lineup. This team just wins games, and they do it by margin as well, right? I know Chicago has been playing up to competition this season, but I just feel like when it comes down to that clutch time, I trust Paul George and Kawhi Leonard more and Ty Lue more when it gets down to that clutch time. I also do see the possibility of this being a blowout as well. Clippers, when healthy, they have one of the deepest rosters in the association. Norman Powell has been playing well for them off the bench. I know John Wall's missing this game, but Reggie Jackson, he's actually had great success against his Bulls team for whatever reason. And I think that Zubac should be able to at least provide some type of rim protection here tonight for the Clippers as well. So at a short number of -3, I'll take the Clippers as another lock here tonight. For my dog, I'll go with a player prop here tonight. Give me Evan Mobley's double-double. I really like that play at plus 190. 3 out of the 4 games against the Miami Heat, he's had a double-double. And if it is Bam Adebayo matched up on Jared Allen, I do think that Evan Mobley should be able to get points here tonight. Again, just asking him to get 10 rebounds where he's done it in 3 out of the last 4 games against the Miami Heat isn't a tall order for him. So at plus 190, I do like the value there for Evan Mobley to get a double-double as my dog of the night. All right, gentlemen, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. I did need to take care of one thing. We did get a review in. And I said of all the reviews that we are going to get, I would shout them out on the pod. This comes from J Willie 69. Not sure if this was Andrew Robb's friend, TD King, in the Discord channel, but he said he left us a review. He left us a 5-star review. He said, "Great pod. Listen to these guys on my way home from work every single day. Love their knowledge of the game, their analytics, and obviously their picks every day. This paired with Propcast, go win yourself some moolah. Keep up the great work, gents." I appreciate you, man. Definitely, if you haven't already, leave us a rating and review. Also on Spotify, if you haven't. If you listen to us on Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. It really helps us grow the show for the NBA Gambling Podcast. Scott, anything else you want to get off your chest before we get out of here, my man?
Not really. You can find me on Twitter, Reichel Radio. Besides that, of course, doing this show. Not sure what the NFL schedule is because I know that this is the Pro Bowl weekend. Shout out to Tyler Huntley, by the way, a well-deserved Pro Bowl appearance. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the plan is.
What the hell is going on, man? What the hell is going on?
Was he the fourth alternate who and he ended up getting in?
I just saw Derek Carr got put in too.
I'm happy for Carr. It's the last time he's going to put on a Raider uniform, if they even put on their team uniforms for that. So either way, point is, I don't think I have an NFL episode this week, so you can find me on
we're
there.
still playing with the schedule, like you said, because it is Pro Bowl week. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But tennis, I'm taking a break this week. There are a couple of men's tournaments starting up next week, so you can find me there as well. But you can find me on Twitter, Reichel Radio.
All right, Delonte, anything else, my man?
Nothing, man. Just hopefully we can end the month off strong and give out a lot of winners.
Yeah, make sure to follow Delonte on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Make sure to follow the NBA Gambling Podcast Twitter account at SGPNNBA. If you haven't already, hit the like button on the live stream here. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be back tomorrow with myself and Terrell to handicap the Wednesday games in the association. Till then, good luck with your picks here tonight. Let's break these books off and let it ride.